Let me start at the beginning. Create your own path, they say. I say no. Even as defiant, like a wolf to the sheep. Even as a girl, even after going through the demonic wolf pack. Walking into the kingdom of darkness and working for them. I offended God. Grievously, I angered the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Even when the angels petitioned me, I listened not. Even at the foot of God, where they honored him, I said no. I was even there sided with the angels that even fought against God. When I found myself running and running, who would I ask help for now? This is my story. But first, we would like to thank Adobe Stocks for allowing us to use their videos for free. Like, share, subscribe. Now let's get back to the story. We have many prophets in our family. In fact, many of them were prophets in the beginning. There's not one that wasn't. God gave every single one of us the power, the great, awesome power to be prophets. But at some point, all of us have been at the white stairs of heaven to be told what to do. But at some point, all have succumbed to darkness. Is there one that didn't? On the Native American side of my family, from my mom's side, they were all shamans, wizards and witches of the Native American people, of the Cherokees and the Blackfoot, and so on. They had their own God. Was there one, even one woman that was not a witch, that did not give her life to Satan? I tell you, every single generation of our family was in witchcraft. On my dad's side of the family, they were the occultists, the wizards and witches. Who knows if he knows? Did they even know? Did they know the deal they made for not only themselves, but their future generations? They not only made a covenant with evil and sorcery, but with death himself. When I was born and when I was little, I could always do things that I simply should not have been able to. I could make a fire appear just by thinking of it, or I could electrocute things. I even got happy and electrocuted the car steering wheel once and killed the entire battery. I could always hear everyone's thoughts 24/7. Why is that? I could see things that I shouldn't and be able to tell you your whole life what you should and should not do. I would remote view at command and even astral project accidentally daily. Who knows? Who knew? Not knowing that it was because something was placed in my hands spiritually. Take it out. Take it out. But I had too much fun. I would astral project and I would remote view everywhere and everything. And when I tell you that I was good at it, not knowing that it was because a principality had made an altar over my life and sat on the throne of it.
Thank you for seeing me, sir. I will get right to the point.
My dad married
I would like to marry your daughter.
Or so he asked her.
Honey? Will you marry me?
And she said yes. There were family and friends at the wedding and reception and happiness and greatness. I will treasure you forever, they said to one another. To have and to hold, life and death. Did they mean it? A few years later, she had me. Wow, look at me grow. Look at me go there. Look at me go. My dad wanted to abort me, but my mom said, no. Thank you for that. Look at me move. Look at me go. I could hear everything. I knew everything. It was warm, and I was secure and protected. At least or so we all thought. Forgetting about the dark principality that had power over us the minute I was born. In the womb, he had already transferred his powers from itself to me. I was now next in line. Something happened that day, and the male nurse that signed a federal paper saying that he would witness my live birth ran from the birth, causing him to become a fugitive. But wherever he went, no one found him. I was born in 1996, but my birth certificate was illegally withheld for 2 whole years and was released in 1998. So for that time, I technically did not exist. There was a principality that had walked into my life, for they had rights to do so, legal rights over me to do so. My mom and dad still together. Look at how they hold hands and walk. They're in love, aren't they? Together forever, they said. To death do us part. Their heartbeat beat as one. They're united. Would they ever let each other go? Man. But then he started to abuse her. And it went south really, really quick. The love they had is gone now, and their heart tore and it ripped them too. It was now time to fight in court. It was her, he said. It was him, she said. They are now divorced, and my mom moved us. She thought it would be better. But little did she know, the same evil would follow us there too. There was nowhere we could go. There was nothing we could do. In the night, witches appeared in my room. There were many of them. There were 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 witches. They came in the house and they flung their hands, and just like that, they put everyone to sleep. They sang and they danced and they chanted around the fire, and when they were done, they said, "Welcome to the coven. You are now a witch." It was that night that I was deprived of all human emotion, from the coven of a close family member on my dad's side of the family. I no longer even felt like a human anymore. I now could see things that I couldn't have seen before. I truly did not understand what happened to me until the next day when I went to school and something very bad happened. That day, during potty break, by someone way older than me, I was molested in the girls' bathroom. That's when it happened. When suddenly, right after that happened, before my very eyes, a portal opened. Now strangely, that bathroom at our school eerily resembled the same bathroom in the movie Harry Potter's The Chamber of Secrets, so I always expected something to open and take me to a new world. But the crazy part is that day, it absolutely did. As a creature came out, wildly waving his index finger at me, stooped in the girl's stall. He pulled out a bag with a beautiful crown and he said, "Do you want it? Would you like to become queen and wear this?" And I said, "You can talk." And he said, "Only to those who want me to." If you have this crown, you'll become queen of a continent in hell called that Zeta. Do you want it? And I said, yes. You'll become queen of a continent in hell called that Zeta, ruling as Watnanda for 100 years. It was in that moment my eyes opened and changed and became anew. The phrase, a deal with the devil, was not a phrase for me. I shook hands with a demon. And that is when there were 20 demons on my left, 20 demons on my right, and all 40 in all. And they all said, all hail Queen of that Zeta, all hail the Queen of that Zeta, all hail our Watnanda, and they bowed. Immediately the crown was then placed on my head and I looked down at them and said, you better. That was the day I became truly immersed in the crown of darkness. Every single demon that I had owned was now with me. I had an army. I was mentored until I got older, but that very night, they came and got me, and I sat on the throne. I was enthroned into the Dark Kingdom, ruling at the age of 6. 4 years had passed, and at the age of 10, I was still ruling on the throne as queen. And then a preteen. Then I became a teenager, and I still sat on the throne. Then a young adult. Then a full-grown adult. After that, I had became a fully reigned queen. After that, my status had got high enough and I was then able to be wedded to a fallen angel. I then married and sat on a throne with a fallen angel named Armoros, becoming known as the high-ranking Signorial, meaning duration of disease. I was then taught dark arts and witchcraft by Armoros and by a demon named Quantum to open doorways by using equations in my hand as a key. I then went to witch school. There, I met a lot of people and a lot of creatures with powers. There, I ran into some creatures called Darkins. They are known for having keyholes in their hands, and to their enemies, they sweep them into it, pulling them into a doorway into their hands, which they are tortured for eternity. I once got into a fight with one of them, not knowing that one day I would become queen over them as well. I then had my initiation with Leviathan. The key wasn't to win, but instead not to die. I succeeded. I passed my initiation. I then came through the portal of Detroit to get back home. Yes, there is a portal in downtown Detroit, which I used to get back home, and people don't even notice. I then took the oath and the vow of silence forever. You never tell a soul or you die. When one day, me, Armoros, I had all of these maids, you would see what they look like. Yakario, one of who we call the twins, Meshikai, Kashuanan, Metuk, Rosimus, the Blues, and Zadok, the angry one. When all of a sudden, while walking into a territory where we should not have even been, that belonged to God, when all of a sudden God's angel showed up. It was Uriel, Gabriel, there was Michael, as they drew their swords and began to clean and start fighting. And then there was Raphael, God sent his most powerful. We didn't understand why they were doing that, but then we seen God Almighty on his throne coming down. He stepped into the dark realm as they all were surprised and they ran for their lives and they screamed. They was running from their lives as many were being slayed, as God's face radiated with light, his angels' wings majestically flapping as he surrounded him and pulled out his sword as the angels protected God. And then an angel said to me,
die, but you won't.
At that moment, I knew that they would be killed, but I felt like I wouldn't. The light was so radiant, it just pulled me towards it. It was like I was in a trance, and I couldn't stop going forward. I thought to myself, I think I want you. I think I want this light. Then it was at that moment that I was just about to disappear and vanish. He turned around and ran towards me. He then darted into me and swept me up, pushed me towards the runaway. We both ran away, and then he took me and flew off with me, taking me back to the dark realm of hell. And in that moment, because of the light, though I couldn't see God's face, I saw one thing. I saw him put his head down in sadness, and he turned and walked away, and his throne vanished. When I got home, it was that night that I tried to pray. I said, maybe this God will truly hear me. Maybe he does love me. I want to know him. God, I will give up Watnanda for you. Forgetting that God hears my prayers, but so does the dark realm as well. When later that very same night, just after I prayed, just when I was about to get ready for bed, that's when Amoros came. And then he said,
Is it true? Is it true that you've been praying to God and asking him and telling him and promising him that you will no longer be Watnanda?
it's okay. I'll be fine.
You won't be fine. No, you won't. I know him. I know Lucifer. He'll kill you.
And he stormed off angrily. That night, I was summoned to hell. And just by being there, I expected Amoros, but instead, it was Satan. Now, every now and then, Amoros would lift his head up and peek at me, nervously, almost like he was afraid. I then knew at that point that he had been tortured. Well, all he could say is,
Yes, Father.
you are not allowed to lift your head in Satan's presence unless he's speaking to you. But Amoros kept lifting his head and peeking at me every now and then behind Satan, which let me know that he was trying to tell me that something was up. Because our minds are connected, I could hear his every thought. I heard him say, and then Satan said,
My daughter, I want you to take a package to the witches. Ask them, tell them to give us back what they owe us, or
yes, Father, I'll do it. And just like that, whoosh, whoosh, I went away. And I was already with and among the witches, just that quick. I said, Satan sent me for me to have you give us what you owe us. Immediately, they cocked it up in their hand and they stuck out their hands and they said, here's what we owe you. But just please, we know who you are and that you are Sinoriel and that you are only sent to kill. We know that your name means duration of disease. Please, allow us to live and spare our lives. Just don't kill us. We'll give you whatever you want. And then I said, you will not die as long as you do as we say. And just like that, I left. I just got back. Father, the job is done. I received a package from the witches, as you said.
good job, daughter. Now, I want you to go back. Retrieve something from the witches that they also owe me. And in return, they will give you something.
Now that just didn't make sense to me. I was very suspicious of it. But I said, yes, Father. And I went. You are back, the witches replied. Yes, I was sent back to get something from you guys. Lucifer said that you have something for me that I should receive from you. And in that moment, they all gave a look to one another. I should have seen it right there. Or maybe it was the next thing where I should have seen it. Or the next. But I just did not see it at all. until it was too late. He sent you back for a package? Okay. Come this way. There is a package that we have for you. But we cannot touch it because our powers are not as strong as yours. We need you to get it for us. Or else we'll die. We need you to get it so you can retrieve it back to Satan, our master. And so I said, show me where it is, and I will get it for you. And so they did. Come this way, they said, leading me into a place that looked like a cave. The first thing that occurred to my mind is, man, it's dark in here. I stepped closer to reach for the box, but when I did, something jumped at me. Surprised, I didn't know what it was, and then I looked down and realized it was fur. As it was changing, I resisted so much that I began to stop myself halfway. I frequently heard the witches speaking to one another. One said, "This one's a strong one, but if she keeps this up, then she'll kill herself, and if she dies, then we die. Then what do you suggest we do? Let's take her. Everyone, put your hands together. Now!"
Are you ready? 20 seconds start now.
Halfway there, they tried putting rope around me, but it was meaningless. It just burst. I broke right through. And then they began to lasso me with it again. Kinda comical now. I yelled and said, "I'll kill you! We have someone for you!" And as fast as they could, took off, put their hands together again, and they were gone. And I mean gone. Now what made me nervous is that I never even seen them afraid of Satan while in his presence. What is it about them that makes them so afraid? And immediately, as my heart continued to beat so many beats per second, that is when I finally heard the sound. The ones I considered to be my own people had just dropped me off with the most deadliest creatures alive. I felt very betrayed. The werewolves are known to be the outcasts. As I watched the alpha transform and introduce again, according to them, I had already betrayed the Dark Kingdom. I was now placed in chains. My hands, my feet, and around my neck. The agony was so horrible that death would have been better. In fact, any kind of withdrawal, which is the worst, would have been better than this. Every bone and ligament cracked in my body. My eyes bulged out. My spine broke and reanimated and broke and fixed itself into the position that it wanted. My feet broke inside out and set back up again. My hands was almost as if somebody took a sledgehammer and knocked it down, and then it broke back up again. That's the best way I can describe it. It was pure agony. Even my teeth fell out and then changed and became different. My tongue extended, but the muscles in it tore. This fur was now getting all over my body, but it still hadn't covered my eyes yet. I only had one eye still visible. The rest of me was fur by then. It was like my knees were bolted to the ground. I was in so much agony that I could not unbolt myself from that position. When I kept hearing, Silverpaw, get a hold of yourself or you're gonna kill the both of us. Get a hold of yourself now. Do you want to die? Do you want me to die? And I thought to myself, we can both die. I don't mind. But I heard again, Silver Ball! Silver Ball! Get over yourself. You're gonna kill the both of us. My mind was now meshing together with the same fur that werewolf that jumped onto me earlier. It seemed to be older in age. But it turned out that the more I resisted, the more I prolonged the process, the more I would end up killing the both of us. If we were talking actual real time here on Earth, I probably prolonged this process for 2 whole hours. Until finally, I couldn't hold it anymore. I got so weak that I had to give in. I finally let go, and when I did, the change happened. And even so, after that, the process of the change actually takes up to at least a couple hours of nothing but breaking your every ligament and bone in your body. At that point, I had already prolonged the process for about 4 to 5 hours. That long, the fur can lose its oxygen. Therefore I die. They all said it was a miracle that me and the fur was even still alive. And when I was done, the alpha then came up to me. His name was Blackbite, and he said, "Welcome. You are no longer Sinoriel. You are now Silver Paw."